Most people believe financial collapse begins with unemployment, or low income, or bad luck. But the truth is far more uncomfortable than that. Financial destruction usually begins silently, slowly, psychologically. It begins inside behaviors that society normalized long ago. Tiny emotional reactions, daily impulses, invisible habits repeated so often, they no longer feel dangerous. And that is exactly why they become dangerous. Because what destroys most people financially is rarely one giant mistake. It is unconscious repetition. A lifestyle built on emotional reaction instead of intentional thinking. That is the hidden habit destroying financial futures all over the modern world. Not simply spending money, not enjoying life, not buying things occasionally. The real problem is emotional escape disguised as normal behavior. Modern society teaches people to consume emotionally from childhood. Feeling stressed? Buy something. Feeling anxious? Scroll endlessly. Feeling insecure? Show status. Feeling rejected? Upgrade your appearance. Feeling emotionally empty? Distract yourself immediately. And over time, people stop understanding the difference between necessity and emotional relief. That is where financial control quietly disappears. Because emotional spending rarely feels dangerous in the moment. In fact, it often feels comforting, rewarding, even deserved. That's why people say things like, "I work hard. I deserve this. This will make me feel better. It's only one purchase. Everyone else has it." But hidden underneath those thoughts, there is usually emotional discomfort driving the decision. And modern marketing understands this perfectly. Advertisements no longer focus only on products. They focus on psychology, identity, comparison, validation, status, belonging. Modern companies spend billions studying emotional behavior. Because emotional people buy faster. Emotional people compare more. Emotional people react impulsively. And emotional people rarely pause long enough to question themselves. That's why modern society constantly attacks human attention. Everywhere you look, something is trying to trigger emotion. Luxury advertisements, social media lifestyles, perfect apartments, perfect bodies, perfect vacations, perfect cars, perfect lives. The modern world creates endless comparison. And comparison creates emotional pressure. That pressure slowly convinces people they are behind, not successful enough, not admired enough, not attractive enough, not important enough. And once someone begins feeling emotionally inadequate, consumption becomes emotional medicine. People buy confidence. People buy status. People buy temporary emotional relief. But temporary relief always disappears. That is why the cycle never ends. The excitement fades. The emotional high disappears. And then another purchase becomes necessary. Another distraction. Another emotional escape. Again, and again, and again. This is why many people earn more money over time, yet still remain financially trapped. Because increasing income without emotional awareness changes nothing. A person without emotional discipline will simply spend at a higher level. The environment changes. The car changes. The apartment changes. The clothing changes. But the psychological pattern remains exactly the same. That's why some people making average salaries quietly build stable lives, while others earning far more stay overwhelmed financially. Because financial intelligence is deeply connected to emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is becoming increasingly rare. Modern society rewards noise, reaction, attention-seeking, impulsiveness. People are constantly encouraged to display everything publicly: their purchases, their relationships, their vacations, their meals, their opinions, their lifestyles. And this creates another hidden financial problem: performative living. Many people are no longer living for themselves. They are performing for invisible audiences, trying to appear successful, trying to appear admired, trying to appear wealthy, even while emotionally exhausted, even while financially stressed, even while secretly anxious. And maintaining that performance becomes expensive, very expensive, because image maintenance never ends. There is always another trend, another upgrade, another comparison, another social pressure, another expectation. And eventually, people become financially trapped by lifestyles they never truly needed. That's why silence becomes powerful. Quiet people observe more, and observation changes everything. When someone becomes quieter internally, they begin noticing patterns other people miss. They notice emotional triggers. They notice manipulation. They notice impulsive behavior. They notice how often society pushes unnecessary consumption. And slowly, their relationship with money begins changing. Not because they suddenly become richer overnight, but because they become more aware. Awareness interrupts automatic behavior. That is one of the most important psychological shifts a person can experience. Because unconscious people live automatically. They react automatically, spend automatically, compare automatically, consume automatically, and automatic behavior destroys discipline. Most financial destruction is not dramatic. It is repetitive, quiet, predictable. One emotional purchase at a time. One unnecessary subscription at a time. One impulsive decision at a time. One stressful weekend at a time. One emotional reaction at a time. And eventually, people wake up carrying financial pressure they barely understand. Bills increase. Debt increases. Stress increases. Freedom decreases. Peace disappears. And because stress grows stronger, consumption often increases too. That is the trap. Emotional discomfort creates spending. Spending creates financial pressure. Financial pressure creates more emotional discomfort. And the cycle repeats endlessly. This is why modern financial problems are often emotional problems first. A stressed mind spends differently. An insecure mind spends differently. A lonely mind spends differently. An exhausted mind spends differently. And a distracted mind almost never notices what is happening. That's why attention has become one of the most valuable forms of power in modern life. Whoever controls your attention often influences your decisions. And whoever influences your decisions often influences your future. This is why intelligent people protect attention carefully. They reduce noise, reduce comparison, reduce emotional stimulation, reduce unnecessary influence. Because they understand something powerful. Attention shapes behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. People who constantly live distracted rarely build intentional lives. Because distraction destroys reflection. And without reflection, people repeat the same emotional patterns forever. That is why solitude becomes valuable. Silence allows observation. Observation creates awareness. Awareness creates understanding. And understanding changes behavior permanently. Most people never pause long enough to question themselves honestly. Why do I suddenly want this product? Why does status matter so much emotionally? Why do strangers' opinions influence me financially? Why does temporary pleasure feel necessary? Why do I keep escaping discomfort instead of understanding it? Those questions are uncomfortable, but they are transformational. Because honest self-awareness breaks psychological chains. The hidden habit was never really spending money itself. The hidden habit was unconscious emotional escape. That is what silently destroys futures. Not lack of talent, not lack of potential, not even lack of opportunity alone, but unconscious living, living without awareness, reacting emotionally to everything, escaping discomfort constantly, avoiding silence constantly, avoiding reflection constantly. Modern society normalizes emotional distraction so aggressively that disciplined calmness now appears unusual. But emotionally intelligent people behave differently. They pause before reacting. They observe before purchasing. They think long-term. They delay gratification. They separate emotion from decision-making. And because of that, their lives slowly move in different directions. Not instantly, but permanently. Most people chase the appearance of wealth. Emotionally intelligent people chase freedom. Because freedom creates peace. Peace protects focus. Focus protects discipline. And discipline quietly builds powerful lives. That's why truly intelligent people often appear calmer, less reactive, less desperate for validation, less interested in impressing strangers, because they understand something most people never realize. The strongest financial decision is often the decision not to react, not to buy emotionally, not to prove something emotionally, not to impress emotionally, not to escape emotionally. That silence creates clarity, and clarity creates control, and control creates freedom. The moment someone stops living unconsciously, their financial future begins changing immediately. Not because money magically appears, but because emotional behavior changes. And when emotional behavior changes, daily decisions change, and daily decisions quietly shape entire futures. That is the shift most people never notice. External change begins internally first. Always. A peaceful mind usually spends differently. A disciplined mind usually spends differently. An emotionally aware mind usually builds differently. And over time, small disciplined decisions become massive life differences.